Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Pray First. It is the Friday after Thanksgiving 2022, so I think that makes it November 25th. How is everyone doing this morning? I think a lot of us are probably sleeping in, still in a turkey coma. Many of us probably don't even have to work today. So I'm going to wait for a moment, let some people come on in here so I can say good morning to them. Good morning, Daryl. How are you doing this morning? Did you eat lots of turkey? It is a little bit chilly out, but it's warmer. We had a nice couple days here in the Mid-South. How about you guys? How's your weather there doing? Good morning, Deborah. How are you doing this morning? So again, it is Pray First. Pray First is a conversation that we have Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Good morning, Neil. Of course, yesterday we didn't have it. It was Turkey Day. My hair is driving me crazy. We wanted to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Good morning, Barbie. Hey, Neil. I think I already said hey, Neil. Hey, Nita K. How are you? Okay, so how many of you guys actually have to work today? Like, have to physically go in? Because I know a lot of times they give you Thursday, Friday off. So I do not have to work today. But I'm up anyways, and I thought I'd come and say good morning to all of my friends here. Did you guys have a good Thanksgiving? How many of you guys cooked? And how many of you guys went to someone else's house who cooked? I was thinking this yesterday because I think I'm at my 29th year of cooking, or maybe it's 30th year of cooking. I don't remember, but I was thinking to myself, wow, what's it going to be like when I actually get to go to my kid's house and they can cook for everyone and I can just go and get invited? But then I thought this morning, the great part about cooking at your house is you have all the leftovers. So we have a ton of leftovers. I don't think I'm going to be cooking for a very, very long time. Good morning, Neil. Good morning, Barbie. Good morning, Dan and Bonnie. How are you guys doing? Did you guys have a good Thanksgiving? Good morning, Greg. So, we had turkey and stuffing, actually dressing. I'm learning here it's called dressing. I used to stuff my stuffing into the turkey, but the last couple of years I've chosen not to, just because then I don't have to get up as early, because you don't have to prep all the stuffing to stick in the turkey, and the turkey cooks quicker, and it tastes about the same. It'll work. Okay, so that's enough randomness. We are in the Bible Project. This is Pray First. Make sure you're hashtagging live, hashtagging recorded. Share this out if you would like to. And Oh, you're going to Nashville, so your second Thanksgiving. Neil, if you're going to Nashville, go to Zoo Illumination at the Nashville Zoo. I promise you, you will not regret it. You won't regret it. It is so cool. It's an exhibit that they send over from China, and it only comes every once in a while, and it was so neat. That's what we did on Tuesday as a family. Good morning, Chris. How are you doing this morning? Turkey dressing and ham. You did turkey and ham. I had prime rib the night before, and so we had prime rib leftovers as well. So my fridge is fully stocked. Okay, so we are in the Bible Project. We've been steadily reading through the Message version of the Bible and bearing Bibles in all 50 states in time capsules. Super cool stuff. And we will give you an update on that soon. But right now, guys, I want to go ahead and get started. I'm going to get started on, Pastor Dennis left off at the end of chapter 27 in Ezekiel. So that's where I'm going to start at chapter 28. Here we go. Chapter 28, God's message came to me. Son of man, tell the prince of Tyre, this is what God the Master says. Your heart is proud, going around saying, I'm a god. I sit on God's divine throne, ruling the sea. You, a mere mortal, not even close to being a god. A mere mortal trying to be a god. Look, you think you're smarter than Daniel. No enigmas can stump you. Your sharp intelligence made your world wealthy. You piled up gold and silver in your banks. You used your head well. Worked good deals, made a lot of money, but the money has gone to your head. Swelled your head. What a big head. Therefore, God, the Master says, because you're acting like a god, pretending to be a god, I'm giving fair warning. I'm bringing strangers down on you. The most vicious of all nations. They'll pull those swords and make hash of your reputation for knowing it all. They'll puncture the balloon of your god pretensions. They'll bring you down from your self-made pedestal and bury you in the deep blue sea. Will you protest to your assassins? You can't do that. I'm a god. To them, you're a mere mortal. They're killing a man, not a god. You'll die like a stray dog, killed by strangers because I said so. Decree of God, the Master. Good morning, Lana. Good morning, Tanya. Nice for you to join us. Happy late birthday. Oh, thank you to Lana. God's message came to me. Son of man, raise a funeral song over the king of Tyre. Tell him, a message from God the Master. You had everything going for you. You were in Eden, God's garden. You were dressed in splendor, your robes studded with jewels. Carnelian, peridot, and moonstone, beryl, onyx, and jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and emerald, all in settings of engraved gold. A robe was prepared for you the same day you were created. Good morning, Jay and Sarah and Amy. You were the anointed cherub. I placed you on the mountain of God. You strolled in magnificence among the stones of fire. From the day of your creation, you were sheer perfection. And then imperfection, evil was detected in you. In much buying and selling, you turned violent, you sinned. I threw you disgraced off of the mountain of God. I threw you out, you anointed angel cherub. No more strolling among the gems of fire for you. Your beauty went to your head. You corrupted wisdom by using it to get worldly fame. I threw you to the ground, sent you sprawling before an audience of kings, and let them gloat over your demise. By sin after sin after sin, by your corrupt ways of doing business, you defiled your holy places of worship. So I set a fire around and within you. It burned you up. I reduced you to ashes. All anyone sees now when they look for you is ashes, a pitiful mound of ashes. All who once knew you, now throw up their hands. This can't have happened. This can happen. Good morning, Rita. God's message came to me. Son of man, confront Sidon. Preach against it, saying, message from God the Master. Look, I'm against you. I tend to be known for who I truly am among you. They'll know that I am God when I set things right and reveal my holy presence. I'll order an epidemic of disease there, among with murder and mayhem in the streets. People will drop dead right and left as war presses in from one side. Then they'll realize when I mean business because I am their God. Good morning, Raymond. No longer will Israel have to put up with the thistle and thorn neighbors who have treated them so contemptuously, let's say that again. And they will also realize that I am God. God the Master says, when I gather Israel from the peoples among whom they've been scattered and put my holiness on display among them with all the nations looking on, then they'll live in their own land that I gave to my servant Jacob. They'll live there in safety. They'll build houses. They'll plant vineyards, living in safety. Meanwhile, I'll bring judgment on all the neighbors who have treated them with such contempt. And then they'll realize that I'm God. In the Chapter 29. In the 10th year, in the 10th month, on the 12th day, God's message came to me. Son of man, confront Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Preach against him and all the Egyptians. Tell him, God the Master says. Watch yourself, Pharaoh, king of Egypt. I'm dead set against you. You lumbering old dragon, lolling and flat, sit in the Nile, saying, it's my Nile. I made it. It's mine. I'll set hooks in your jaw. I'll make the fish in the Nile stick to your scales. I'll pull you out of the Nile with all the fish stuck into your scales. Then I'll drag you into the desert, you and all the Nile fish sticking to your scales. You'll lie there in the open, rotting in the sun. Meat to the wild animals and carrion birds. Everybody living in Egypt will realize that I am God. Because you've been a flimsy reed crutched to Israel, so that when they gripped you, you splintered and cut their hand, and when they leaned on you, you broke and sent them sprawling. Message of God the Master, I'll bring war against you, do away with people and animals alike, and turn the country into an empty desert, so they'll realize that I am God. Because you said, it's my Nile, I made it, it's all mine. Therefore I'm against you and your rivers. I'll reduce Egypt to an empty, desolate wasteland, all the way to Megal in the north, to Cyrene and the border of Ethiopia in the south. Not a human will be seen in it, nor will an animal move through it. It'll be just empty desert, empty for 40 years. I'll make Egypt the most desolate of all desolations. For 40 years I'll make her cities the most wasted of all wasted cities. I'll scatter Egyptians to the four winds and send them off each way into exile. But, says God the Master, that's not the end of it. After the 40 years, I'll gather up the Egyptians from all the places where they've been scattered. I'll put things back together again for Egypt. I'll bring her back to Pathros, where she got her start long ago. There she'll take over from scratch. She'll take her place at the bottom of the ladder, and there she'll stay. Never to climb that ladder again. Never to be a world power again. Never again will Israel be tempted to rely on Egypt. All she'll be to Israel is a reminder of old sin. Then Egypt will realize that I'm God, the Master. In the 27th year, in the first month, on the first day of the month, God's message came to me. Son of man, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, has worn out his army against Tyre. They've worked their fingers to the bone and have nothing to show for it. Therefore God the Master says, I'm giving Egypt to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. He'll haul away its wealth, pick the place clean. He'll pay his army with Egyptian plunder. He's been working for me all these years without pay. This is his pay, Egypt, decree of God, the Master. And then I'll stir up fresh hope in Israel, the dawn of deliverance, and I'll give you, Ezekiel, bold and confident words to speak. And then they'll realize that I am God. Chapter 30. God the Master spoke to me, Son of man, preach, give them the message of God the Master. Wail, doomsday, time's up. God's big day of judgment is near. Thick clouds are rolling in. It's doomsday for all the nations. Death will rain down on Egypt. Terror will paralyze Ethiopia. When they see the Egyptians killed, their wealth hauled off, their foundations demolished, and Ethiopia put Lud, Arabia, Libya, all of Egypt's old allies killed right along with them. God says, Egypt's allies will fall and her proud strength will collapse, from Migdol in the north to Syene in the south. A great slaughter in Egypt, decree of God the Master. Egypt, most desolate of the desolate, her cities wasted beyond wasting, will realize that I am God when I burn her down, and her helpers are not flat. When that happens, I'll send up messengers by ship to sound the alarm among the easygoing Ethiopians. They'll be terrorized. Egypt's doomed. Judgment's coming. God the Master says, I'll put a stop to Egypt's arrogance. I'll put Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, to do it. He and his armies, the most brutal nations, shall be used to destroy the country. They'll brandish their swords and fill Egypt with corpses. I'll dry up the Nile and sell off the land to the bunch of crooks. I'll hire outsiders to come in and waste the country, strip it clean. I, God, have said no. Good morning, Kareem. And now this is what God the Master says. I'll smash all the no-good idols. I'll topple all those huge statues in Memphis. The prince of Egypt will be gone for good. In this place I'll put fear throughout Egypt. I'll demolish Pathros, burn Zoan to the ground, and punish Thebes. Pour my wrath on Pelusium, Egypt's fourth, and knock Thebes off its proud pedestal. I'll set Egypt on fire. Pelusium will writhe in pain. Thebes blown away, Memphis raped. The young warriors of On and Beeth will be killed and the cities exiled. A dark day for Tahpanhes, when I shatter Egypt, when I break Egyptian power and put an end to her arrogant oppression. She'll disappear in a cloud of dust, but cities hauled off as exiles. That's how I'll punish Egypt, and that's how she'll realize that I am God. In the 11th year, on the 11th day of the first month, God's message came to me. Son of man, I've broken the arm of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. And look, it hasn't been set. No splint has been put on it, so the bones can knit and heal, so he can use the sword again. Therefore, God the Master says, I am dead set against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and will go ahead and break his other arm. Both arms broken. There's no way he'll ever swing a sword again. I'll scatter Egyptians all over the world. I'll make the arms of the king of Babylon strong and put my sword in his hand. But I'll break the arms of Pharaoh, and he'll groan like one who's mortally wounded. I'll make the arms of the king of Babylon strong, but the arms of Pharaoh shall go limp. The Egyptians will realize that I am God when I place my sword in the hand of the king of Egypt. He'll wield it against Egypt, and I'll scatter Egyptians all over the world. Then they'll realize that I am God. Chapter 31. In the 11th year, on the first day of the third month, God's message came to me. Son of man, tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, the pompous old goat. Who do you astride the world think you really are? Look, Assyria was a big tree, huge as a Lebanon cedar, beautiful limbs offering cool shade, skyscraper high, piercing the clouds. The waters gave it drink, the primordial deep lifted it high, gushing out rivers around the place where it was planted, and then branching out in streams to all the trees in the forest. It was immense, dwarfing all the trees in the forest, thick boughs, long limbs, roots delving deep into the earth's waters. All the birds of the air nestled in its boughs. All the wild animals gave birth under its branches. All the mighty nations lived in its shade. It was stunning in its majesty, the reach of its branches, the depth of its water-seeking roots. Not a cedar in God's garden came close to it. No pine tree was anything like it. Mighty oaks looked like bushes growing alongside it. Not a tree in God's garden was in the same class of beauty. I made it beautiful. I made a work of art in limbs and leaves, the envy of every tree in Eden, every last tree in God's garden. Therefore, God the Master says, because it skyscrapered upward, piercing the clouds, swaggering and proud of its stature, I turned it over to a world-famous leader to call its evil to account. Good morning, Sarah. I'd had enough. Outsiders, unbelievably brutal. Felled it across the mountain ranges. Its branches were strewn along all the valleys, its leafy boughs clogging all the streams and rivers. Because its shade was gone, everybody walked off. No longer a tree, just a log. On that dead log birds perch, Wild animals burrow under it. That marks the end of the big tree nations. No more trees nourished from the great deep. No more cloud-piercing trees. No more earth-born trees taking over. They're all slated for death, back to earth, right along with men and women, for whom it's dust to dust. The message of God, the Master. On the day of the funeral of the big tree, I threw the great deep into mourning. I stopped the flow of its rivers, held back great trees, and wrapped the Lebanon mountains in black. All the trees of the forest fainted and fell. I made the whole world quake when it crashed, and threw it into the underworld to take its place with all the else that gets buried. All the trees of Eden and the finest and best trees of Lebanon, well watered, were relieved. They had descended to the underworld with it, along with everyone who had lived in its shade and all who had been killed. Which of the trees of Eden came anywhere close to you in splendor and size? But you're slated to be cut down to take your place in the underworld with the trees of Eden, to be a dead log stacked with all the other dead logs, among the other uncircumcised who are dead and buried. This means Pharaoh, the pompous old goat, decree of God the Master. Whew! All right, guys, I'm going to stop there at the end of chapter 1. We'll begin reading again in chapter 32. Thank you all who are here with me this morning. I know a lot of us, like I said, are probably still sleeping in because it's the day after Thanksgiving and we have all the tryptophan running through our bloods. And a lot of us are probably out there Black Friday shopping. How many of you guys actually Black Friday shop? I did when my kids were younger because it just seemed like there was more gifts that I was supposed to get them that were on great deals. But now it just seems like they have everything. I might do some online shopping, but I'm not sure if I'm up for tackling the crowds this morning. I'm on the fence. All right, friends. Well, so it is Friday, which means the weekend is right around the corner. So exciting. If you are local, make sure you try and make it into Crosspoint Church. And I encourage you all to try and find a fellowship of believers that you can go to so that you can be encouraged. You know, we are better together. We are better together. You do shop Black Friday. Sorry, Nita K. Sometimes it's hard for me to see because when it scrolls up when you're live, it's kind of crazy the timing. But so again, if you're able to make it in-house at Crosspoint, if you're not, join us online or find another fellowship of believers so that you can be in a circle and rows at the same time. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to check out Pastor Doug's old messages. All right, friend, I'm going to pray us out of here. Thank you so much, friends, for being here, Lord. Lord, I just ask a special blessing on them, Lord. Keep them safe, keep them healthy, Lord. Give them abundant peace, Lord, an ocean-calming peace for them and their families, Lord. We love you, Lord. Thank you for your word to nourish us, Lord, to help us to do all that you would have us to do. It's in your precious name that we pray. Amen. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Have fun. Enjoy your families. Eat leftover turkey. And I will see you guys back here next week, okay? Bye, guys.